In 1949, when the Chinese Communist Party took over mainland China, all brothels were shut down, while all prostitutes were rounded up and sent to prison-like custody and education institutes without any judiciary process. They were later sent to so-called reform farms and countryside. Due to this brutal and thorough treatment of prostitutes, the CCP seemed to stamp out prostitution entirely in China. However, the reform and openness policy after the death of Mao started to liberate China's economic energy in the 1990s, and prostitution came back with vengeance. In 1999, Professor Pan Suming, China's godfather of sexologists, estimated that China had more than 20 million prostitution cases, and the police was able to deal with 1% of these cases. An economics professor at Zhongshan University in 2010 estimated that China's prostitution population was around 20 million. If you have been to China before 2014, you should know that China's sex industry was in the open, and in your face. If you are single, checking into a hotel, the phone in your room would ring, as soon as you settled in, and a soft female voice would ask you if you would like to have an in-room massage service. Around the dinner time, hotel lobby and hallways were filled with young and beautiful women. Someone may approach you, or follow you into the lift, asking the same question, "Would you like in-room massage service?" When you woke up next morning, you would find many cards of sex advertisement being pushed into your room underneath the door. Similar to the cards, posters could be found on electrical poles and walls all over the city. These advertisements list what kinds of sexual services were offered, such as blow job, boob job, anal licking, etc., as well as what kind age groups, such as students, young women below 30, etc. They just want to seduce you to call the phone number provided. How and why China's prostitution population went from 0 to 20 million in less than 20 years? As the oldest trade in human history, money for sex market is also determined by the demand versus supply equation. When China's economy opened up for foreign capital and technology via Hong Kong, massive amount of businessmen and tourists pouring in as well, especially those from Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea at first, and the US and Europe followed quickly. High-end hotels mushroomed in China's coastal cities. The hotel owners quickly realized that sex sells well. To attract more customers and to enhance profits, many hotels would have a massage parlor or sauna as the front for prostitution. Prince Hotel in Dongguan became famous quickly, because its sex trade was the most elaborate and the largest. An entire building was a super sauna. Once a guest paid in the front desk, a manager would accompany him to the room. There is a one-way mirror in the room, behind it were two almost naked young women dancing and posting. If the guest liked one of them, she would then walk out to perform sexual acts. If the guest did not like any of the two, a second pair would come in, until one is chosen by the guest. In the room, there was a poster, listing the details of sexual acts performed by the little sister, the Chinese euphemism for prostitutes. If the little sister failed to follow the full service detail, the costumer could complain, and the prostitute would be punished by the management. This is known as the Dongguan style, which quickly became the standard for the entire sex industry in China. This kind of high-end hotel with sex services were all over Dongguan, which was quickly known as China's sex capital. It not only attracted businessmen from in and out of China, sex tourists were flocking to Dongguan as well, and business was booming. Most hotels and super saunas did not have in-room show of prostitutes as in Prince Hotel. Instead, they have an elaborate stage, and prostitutes were lined up. One by one, they would step up and a manager would introduce their names, where they came from, and prices. At the time, the price would range from 700 to 900 yuan, and 7 yuan was equal $1. Once chosen, the little sister would hold the guest's hand, lead him to the designated room. Such sexual shows were taking place all over the city, and one manager was urging the indecisive guests to pick their little sisters quickly, because it is a time in which wolves are more than sheep. It was a good sales pitch, but due to the market demands, more and more supplies of little sisters would become available quickly. These are young and beautiful girls. 20 years old is the age for legal marriage in China, but many of them were younger than 20. With some training, they were becoming hot commodities, earning their employers millions of dollars every year. Some of them were chosen by rich businessmen as second wife, to serve one man exclusively, in exchange for an apartment and generous monthly allowance. Many Chinese officials quickly followed suit, to adopt young and beautiful girls as their second wife, and the Chinese name for them is ernai. In many places, there were neighborhoods filled with these high-end prostitutes, thus, named as ernai village or ernai street. In addition to these high-end prostitution, the demands for low-end and cheap sex trade also exploded, due to the largest human migration in history. In those years, 50 million of China's rural population moved to the urban centers every year. Dongguan's population was 240,000 in 1985, 25 years later, it was 7.5 million. Many of them were single, were leaving their families and the village. Their monthly salary was around 2,000 yuan, so they could not afford 800 yuan for 1 hour sexual service. To meet this type of market demands, hair salons and cheap massage parlors mushroomed in the back streets and dark narrow alleys, as well as many street walkers in slum area. These lower-end prostitutes would usually ask for 100 to 200 yuan for a quick meal, as it was no in China. Who were these young and beautiful girls? Why did they become prostitutes? What would be their fate, when the government finally determined to clamp down on prostitution in 2014? That will be the contents of next video, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.